Hi, and welcome to Onward Shift's podcast. Today we have Jen with us, one of our specialist coaches in nutrition, and we'll just be having a general chat about the pros and the cons and the goods and the bads of nutrition. So, hi Jen, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very good.
Amazing, amazing. The weather's all right as well today, so it's turned out quite a nice day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, finally. Well, we might get a little bit of summer and then it'll be gone, but
Yeah.
it's good for now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jen, you've got quite a personal story getting into nutrition. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, absolutely. I had my second son, and I think I'd probably just written myself off. Actually, I thought, well, I'm a mum of two boys and hit 30, and things. You expect your body to change. You had two children. I'm tired, and I'd written myself off. That was it. But it wasn't until a family friend actually experienced a family bereavement, and that was a real big wake up call for me. I thought, hang on a minute, my lifestyle, it gave me time to reflect on, am I at the best of my health at the moment? And started to think, well, what can I do? What can I do to change? What are the things around me within my control? And so I started trying to go out for a little walk, run, tried to kind of navigate some nutrition stuff, but it wasn't really working. And that's when I then discovered CrossFit. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure about this, really felt quite intimidated, but went along. And actually, it didn't matter what the environment was, it was just right for me at that time. Walked in, really supportive environment. And yeah, I thought, oh, this is really good. If I'm really honest, to begin with, it was my driver was vanity. I wanted to look good, and that will give me the kind of the journey, the route to looking better. Then as I got into it, I thought, oh, okay, this is actually different from how I thought. Yes, I'm changing physically, but wow, I'm feeling a little bit different. And then all of a sudden, that's when maybe the journey kind of changed a little bit, and it suddenly became a little bit more about me and what my body could do, and how I could respond to things. So that's the kind of the movement side of things. Started on the exercise and training, and then we were offered a nutrition kind of a challenge, really, a 30-day nutritional challenge. And we came together as a group and started to really clean up our diets. And it wasn't anything big, it wasn't a strict, you can't have this, you can't have that, you have to do this. It was, let's just go back to basics. Let's review what we're eating and know what we're putting into our bodies. And the emphasis was on good whole food, minimal processed foods, minimal alcohol, sugars, that kind of thing. So going back to really basic foods, knowing your food labels, knowing what you were consuming. And that probably had the biggest impact on my life and my family's life as well. So it felt like, oh, good, I've got the movement side, the nutrition side, the nice pieces of the jigsaw kind of coming together. And it just kind of grew from there.
It sounds like you're passionate about, nutrition, but also alongside that of fitness, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I guess one of the questions which kind of off the bat of what you've said is, what would you say is a good balance between good food and bad food? Because we hear eat good food every day, or for me personally, the second I eat good food and then on the sixth day I have a bar of chocolate, I'm going back downhill,
Yeah.
But is there a balance we can kind of do of good foods and bad foods?
I guess for me, I try not to label food good or bad. There's a place in it, with all food. It's fuel, and so I think, okay, I've got a little motto for me: is I eat to perform. So I know how certain foods make me feel and how they will make me feel and perform, whether that's in the gym environment, or I'm just, being a mother, or I'm just, working, and how that makes me feel, the fuel. So I see food differently now. I see that as a way. I see food to nourish and to get me where I need to go. I don't really have good and bad label, good and bad foods, but I know that if I'm going to eat, pizza or takeaways every night and drink copious amounts of glasses of wine, then that's going to make me feel a certain way. So yes, I have those in my diet and my weekly routines, but the consumption of that now is very, very different from what it used to be. So it's understanding your goals and what you want to achieve, and then coming away from, because I find, when I'm working with some clients, to label things is actually quite triggering. So it's just understanding where they have a place in your goal setting, I guess, and where you want to get to, and adding certain foods in isn't going to get you there as quickly as perhaps other foods and fuels. So that's perhaps how I see it, a bit more like that.
That's really, really interesting. I've actually never heard anyone say it like that, because it's true, actually, because I have spoken to nutritionists, many, many, many years ago, and it was, oh, if you have a pizza, well, you shouldn't really be doing that. I'm like, I love pizza. It's my favorite food. I can't just cut it out of my diet. And you feel guilty for it at the end of it. And you kind of go down the bad track of, oh, actually, I really want pizza, but I'm a bad person if I eat that pizza. But you're right. If you do it in a way where it's not a bad thing, but if you manage it better. And I think there's 4 points which you focus on quite a bit, right? It's fitness, nutrition, sleep hygiene, and sleep recovery. Now, the sleep thing, oh my God, I am terrible with sleep. I sleep as little as I can, which is really unhealthy. What tips could you give me to, I guess, be a better all-round person?
Yeah, it's the jigsaw. So like you say, movement, however that might be, whether that's in a gym setting or, walking around your local village or town, nutrition, but also that recovery. Within recovery, there is sleep. Sleep is absolutely part of, it's a big part of the recovery. So recovery is not just sleep. It's something that I probably focus on quite quickly with people. And again, everyone is different. So talking to me 10 years ago when I had 2 small children, you could chat to me about movement and getting to the gym or getting my daily steps in. And you could talk to me about nutrition and making, choices. But sleep, that was I knew it was there, but practically it was like my husband and I would go to bed and be like, right, good luck, might see you in a few hours again. So you couldn't prescribe, I couldn't say, well, I have to have my 8 hours. It was, hey, we might get 4 hours, we might get 6 hours. It might be a bit disruptive, but who knows? Now it's a little bit more predictable, thankfully. But ultimately, we do need to be conscious of sleep. And if you have that ability to be able to go to bed and have a block of sleep, things like being mindful before when I wake up, I'm almost planning for going to bed in the evening, because I'm thinking, what am I eating through the day? What am I drinking? Because that all has an impact on my sleep. Sleep we'll see it everywhere at the moment. It's in the headlines. It's all over the industry. We really need to prioritize that. And so again, where I eat to perform, I eat to sleep as well, because I know if I eat and move in a certain way, my sleep's going to be really good quality. And that's when lots and lots of changes, development, recovery, that all happens during sleep. So understanding what you're consuming, and when I say consuming, I mean, you're eating, you're drinking, but also what you're watching on your phones, your TVs, even what you're reading. Sometimes I think, right, I'm going to put my phone away and I'm going to read a book. But if that's really got me engaged, that can then leave me a bit like, I need something restful. And that up until probably the last 18 months, breathing work, meditation, I hadn't really explored it. I knew it was there and it's like, wow, yes, but in the last, probably the last 12 months, I've really started to explore that a bit more. And so that's a really good thing to do. Just simple box breathing. So you could box breathing before bed, inhale for 6 seconds, hold your breath for 6 seconds, and then exhale for 6 seconds. And that's what's called the box breathing technique. And I find that really, really helpful. It just calms me down. It makes me think about my breathing rather than everything else that's going on in my head. So just small techniques like that. So no, your phones, understand what you're consuming, breathing, magnesium, that's a massive one. That was a big game changer for me, magnesium, and understanding the role of magnesium. Lots and lots of us are deficient in that magnesium. Since taking that really has helped me with my recovery, sleep. And that again has a calming influence. and a balancing of hormones as well. It really helps with that. So yeah, there's the traditional, blackout blinds, but it, rewind a little bit further, understand what you're doing through that day. And sometimes the more worry, the more kind of regimented we are in our sleep routine, that can pose a bit of a worry as well to people. So sometimes people worrying about sleeping. So, experiment, see what works for you. But I know for me, definitely magnesium, a nice, I'm kind of thinking 2 hours before bedtime, making sure that I'm prepped for the next day, writing my to-do list. So it's out of my head, onto a piece of paper or into my phone, actually into my notes, kind of dumped everything. I've thought about the previous day, I'm thinking about the next day, and then I was like, right, switch off, that type of thing.
That's really interesting because one of the things you said was consume the right foods before bed. And what I found is I'm actually trying to lose a bit of weight now, and I've cut down, I wouldn't say completely, but a little bit of my sugar levels. So less cookies and chocolates and things like that. And I kid you not, it was probably about a week ago, I had a cookie before bed. My God, I stayed up pretty much until 3 a.m. and my head just spiraled and I could not get to sleep. And it was only, okay, I'm not going to lie, it was a couple of cookies, but honestly, I couldn't believe it. Where I've cut my sugar level down quite a bit, just that small spike of sugar, oh my God, it threw me. And then the following day I was definitely not 100% performance. And then that night I crashed because it felt like I was playing catch up. And I think a couple of key points you touched on was that magnesium is a good one. Phone downtime, don't read anything that's too engaging. They're really, really helpful tips. Is there anything else you?
Sorry, we forget that sleep is our time. We want to have, as our body's so complex. There's lots and lots of things happening overnight, and us every now and again. Hey, I eat late, but it's just another factor. I'm like, okay, I understand now how that's going to make me feel. And there is our body, it's got loads of other stuff to do. If we are then eating, it's got to go, whoa, hold on, I've got to process all of this food. It's coming in. So I've got to stop my jobs over here to process all the food. So that's what's happening. Our gut is going, whoa, I've got to process this before I can actually go and then repair. I can rebuild, I can recover all of what's is happening internally. So that's why sometimes people say, oh, I shouldn't eat before bed. It'll keep you, make you fat. Actually, it's not so much that. It's about what it does to your processes internally. And if you're consuming before bed, it's then not allowing your body to perhaps build more muscle, which then in turn helps you lose weight because you're more muscle, you're more active, you're a bit more stronger. So that's really the premise behind it. So yeah, let yourself recover. Give yourself a good chance to repair overnight.
Let's say I'm absolutely starving. Let's say I've had an early dinner, that's just how my day's gone. Is there any foods that you would recommend that I can eat before bed?
And can't or can, did you say?
I'm sorry, you can eat.
Can. And again, it comes down to knowing a bit about yourself and knowing what reacts and what you can tolerate. So banana before bed, chopped up, that's always full of potassium. That's really good. It does have an impact on your blood sugars. And some people will think, oh, no, a banana will spike your blood sugars. But for other people, actually, it's a really good, snack before bed. So have a play around. You don't want high fats, you don't want highly processed, high sugar foods before bed, but maybe a glass of milk. But some people are obviously lactose intolerant, some people react or don't like milk. So it's about playing around. I always say protein's your number one focus, but before bed, something small and light. Sometimes it is a case of, are you really hungry, or is it actually just boredom and looking for something to snack on before bed? My advice probably is look at your last meal and make sure that is as nutrient dense and as well packed as possible than going for a snack before bed.
That's really, really helpful. Say I really want to get started on my health journey, and everyone's like, oh yeah, just smash the gym, like 5 times a week and whatever it is. I am not ready to do that. I'm not ready for that at all. And what's your thoughts on, small changes to build momentum? Like, is that a thing, or do you think that's just a complete waste of
Absolutely.
thought?
It's something I say, everyone's, again, I keep banging on, it's an individual journey. So that's where I really like meeting up with new clients and understanding their backgrounds, understanding where they are at, where they want to get to. And some people are like, yeah, bring it on. I'm going to do this, this, and this. I sometimes worry about that, because then, are we going to be overwhelmed later on? Hey, sometimes they're not, and they just keep going. Brilliant. Sometimes we just have to start small and saying simple things like water. How much water are you drinking? Let's, when you wake up, go and have a slice of lemon with a glass of water, small glass of water. That's your first change. And then that's, often I'm like, wow, people aren't hydrated enough. So just small steps, just having a bottle of water by your desk, or as you're out and about with the children, having a water bottle, and just set reminders on your phone as well. Drink more water. So that's a good one to start with. There's such a thing. Well, I think I'm sure I came up with it. I'm not sure. I keep seeing it now, but exercise snacking. And I used that quite a while ago. And it means, exercising little bits through the day. So think, actually, I never used to take notice of my watch when it says, stand up. I'd never bother. But now I think, actually, no, I've been sat down, I've been immobile for a little while. So I get up, and maybe if I'm working from home or I'm in an office, then I get up and walk up and down the stairs a few times just to move. So that's, again, a small change. Doing, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, quick walk around the block after you've had something to eat. That's a really good way of balancing your blood sugars as well, and processing all that food. So it doesn't have to be like an hour in the gym. Again, steps. There's some people say, 10,000 steps. It's a bit arbitrary. Where's that come from? Yes, there is a story behind that, but actually it's a good place to start. Analyze what you are currently doing. So even if you're only doing maybe 6,000 steps or 3,000 steps, then the next week go, I'm going to do 4,000 steps. So little by little, increase each day and each week. But you don't have to go from today doing 3,000 steps and then tomorrow I'm going to have to go for an hour's run, or I'm going to have to run for, half an hour. No, if you fancy a run, try it maybe 100 meters on, 100 meters off. Start small, because I find if we don't overwhelm to begin with, then you can really slow down and listen to how your body's changing. And there will be your body will be like, oh, thanks for that. And you will get this kind of endorphin rush as well from little changes. And that makes me then want to do a bit more. So that's where I'd much rather my clients say, oh, come on, Jen, come on, give me a bit more, than them going, sorry, we're going to have to end it. I'll come back to you. So now I think, me as a coach, I used to do that. I used to want to impart everything on my clients. Oh, do this, do that. And it was really overwhelming for them. So now I've slowed it down, and we start, right, what can we do tomorrow? What can we do that is sustainable and consistent? And they're the two words really important. What can be sustained in your daily routine, and what can be held consistently? So small changes, glass of water, alarms on your phone to remind you to get up and move, walk up and down the stairs, go for a walk, grab a pal rather than going for a coffee and a donut in the cafe. Or even meetings now, it's very fashionable and really good. Yeah, let's go for a walking meeting. I do that with my business partner. We'll go out for a walk, and we're discussing, we've got the agenda, and we'll walk and talk whilst having that meeting. So yeah, all of those little things that, oh yeah, that's easy, I can do that. And it will then lead on to the next thing, which, can have an impact.
I would say I'm quite good at timekeeping my day, time blocking and all that. I think I'm quite good at it. But I never seem to have the time. I can potentially eat well, but alongside that, do the fitness side of it as well. Like, is there any tips you could give for, I guess, time blocking exercise out? Because I think for loads of people, the intentions are there, but to actually follow through with them it becomes a challenge, because there's always something else to do.
And there's that I think that's a really good question, and something to be upfront about as well. So often when we're consuming, content on Instagram or social media, it's like, they're doing that. Oh, I need to do that. I need to put that in. And we're trying to get something that's square that is going into a round, circle. Hang on. Oh, no, that doesn't work. So I start the other way and go, right, what does your daily activity look like? What does your routine look like within the week? Where have you got slots that are consistently available? And sometimes it's a case of having to ask yourself the question. Sometimes it's not an easy journey. So I don't want to lie to people. No, if you want to change, you will have to change. That certain things do need to look different in your life. It might be a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, but you need to keep going, and then you reap the rewards. Looking at, well, is it early morning? What are you doing in the morning? For me, I'm an early morning. I like getting up early, and that really suits my lifestyle to get up. I like to get up at early and be up and moving by 6 a.m. That just works for me, because then it fits into my family life, it fits into work life, and that's the puzzle kind of there. Not every day does it work, and not every week. I sometimes look and go, oh no, that's just not possible. But I don't beat myself up that if I can't get to the gym at 6 a.m, for example, then okay, I'm mindful. I didn't do my normal slot. Where then can I keep that movement up? And that is then doing the walking meetings, or perhaps going, actually, I would have normally sat down and maybe scrolled through my phone. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for a walk, or maybe a run or a bike ride. But it's looking at things that aren't going to overwhelm as well. And again, I think people sometimes go, oh no, I can't do that, I haven't got time, because they're looking at something that actually just isn't right for their routine at that time. And sometimes we're not completely honest with ourselves, and sometimes we're not completely up for the change that could hurt a little bit, because some of us like change, but if we're really honest, we're creatures of comfort, and we're like, ooh. So I think it's being honest, having your routine laid out, and then going, yeah, I want to change, so I've got to make an amendment to my schedule. But don't start small. Make sure that piece of exercise, if it's first thing in the morning, go for that walk when it's nice and sunny, so that then when you're leading up into the winter months, you've got hooked on that time, but you've also got used to that physical exercise. Then come the winter, you could say, well, actually it's dark or it's too cold, whatever, but I've got this gap now. I want that half an hour. What can I do? Look to the internet, look to YouTube, look to other influencers. There's so much free stuff out there. Download yoga or a high intensity workout. There's loads of stuff on YouTube. And that's perhaps one of the things I learned through COVID, is that, okay, my normal routine is now all over the place. My normal gym routine is not there. What's then available to me? What can I do to fill that gap? And it was to go onto YouTube and look for. I'm not very good at doing things on my own. So putting something on YouTube, there's somebody, albeit I know they can't see me, but hey, my brain was telling me that they could. So I was like, yes, I'm here, I'm available. Yes. And I would follow along. There are still things online out there where you subscribe and you can be, people still using Zoom. That works for me because it's that accountability. I very much care about what my coach is thinking. They might not bother, but for me, that keeps me engaged. And I think, I've booked into that. I've got to show up. So, things you can do in the living room. A few weeks ago, I was taken out with my schedule changed. And I thought, what's available to me? Took my iPad, downloaded an app, and was doing yoga every day. And I really enjoyed that. It was different, very different from what I usually do, but it kept me moving. It was the right thing at that time. And I enjoyed those couple of weeks using the yoga apps.
That's amazing. And I think that touches on coaching. Let's say I'm someone who's looking for a coach. First things first, I'm terrified. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be judged. I'm going to, feel fat, and I'm going to feel ashamed of myself because I have let myself go. I guess what I'd like to know is, if I was to come and see a coach, what is it like if for someone who has never been in that position before?
I love meeting new people. And I think my hopefully the natural kind of flair for coaching is that I'm really intrigued. I love hearing about people's backgrounds. And then I'm like, oh, brilliant, cool. I like to help people, and I like to, they've come to me with a bit of a predicament or a goal. Well, I love being able to sit down and go, right, where do you want to get to? Let's go on that journey. And it's my role. Sometimes people get stuck when it's your own journey. You need that inspiration or motivation or somebody that's perhaps got a bit of experience to help you nudge along the way through that journey. So that's my role. Come to me, I'm all ears. In fact, I need to know the background, because then things that I'm going to suggest are going to hopefully be more likely taken up by that person, because it fits in, it's achievable, and it's not so daunting. So I will be asking lots of questions. I want to know what your daily schedule's like. I want to know what you do for a living. I want to know, what your family setup is as well. What do you like to eat? How do you like to move? And some people, especially like young mums, or perhaps women that are going through perimenopause or menopause, they used to do something and then the confidence is gone, or actually they've realized that some of the symptoms don't allow them to do certain things. So I want to hear all of that and say, what do you actually want to do? It might be that we just need to change a few things so you can get back to what you were doing. We very much believe in life being kind of seasonal as well, and so we as people change, our bodies change, for women as well, hormones change, and we have to kind of go with it. We won't always be the same, and it's okay to change as well, but just understanding our bodies, understanding where we're at in life, and then adapting accordingly. And that's my role as a coach, to handhold, to support. It's the best journey. I'm hand holding, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, fly, go on, off you, oh yay. And sometimes people go, oh, what, you've lost a client? No, absolutely. The best thing is to have them coaching, hand holding, and then they'll fly off, and then I see them. I'm training alongside them, and perhaps we're both going to, a strength class together. I'm like, fantastic. They've now got the confidence to go on their journey on their own. They don't need that hand holding. So that's how I see a coach. It's that point in time, understanding a personal situation and adapting accordingly, and support, motivate, inspire, and then get that person to flourish. And that's my approach to coaching.
I love that. So you basically give them the skills they need and techniques, and then you kind of let them crack on with it, which is really nice, because I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people believe that when you see a coach, their intention is to keep you on for, 5 years, but it's not the case, is it? It's more, every coach I've personally seen is kind of like, they want me out of the door as quick as possible, because the next person can then come through the door, and it's hard to get your head around it, but there are so many people who are now looking for, one-to-one bespoke services. It's quite demanding as a coach. And
yeah,
I think
it's
one
not...
of the things...
Sorry, go on, Vish. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, as a guy, I actually found it quite beneficial seeing my coach was a lady, because she added such a big perspective to my life. I loved doing like boxercise classes because I loved hitting a bag and just having fun with it. And then she turned around and said, yeah, that's great, but your flexibility is terrible. I couldn't do a roundhouse kick to save my life if I was doing kickboxing, because every part of my body was so tight. Then she was like, well, maybe you should focus on stretching, and maybe you should focus on... She even got me going to a Pilates class. I couldn't believe it, but I actually rocked up. But I think it's so important to add that perspective, because men and women do think differently, but there's such good key points to take away from both, I personally think.
I love it when I have a client. My background is Olympic lifting, CrossFit, I like gymnastics, and that my experience of a gym is more of the kind of the warehouse, not the corporate types. So less about machines, but coming in and using barbells, those types of things. And it's great. I love it when people go, oh no, that's... Sometimes females are a little bit intimidated that, oh, I don't know, oh no, I won't go into the weight section because it'll make me bulky, or oh no, that's for men. I'm like, no, come on. Right, no, there's something really empowering of picking up a barbell or getting that first pull up as well, and people are surprised when they pull themselves up, and I'm like, yes, that's your body weight, pull up, brilliant. And that's a really good good sense of that's as a coach, I'm like, yes. Thinking about, that individual's journey, for me, it's not just about that hour with them. I just so happens I work in hours. It's going to be an hour with me, but then I'm also mindful. The reason I ask for all of the other information is, yes, you can come and work. And sometimes I have got longer term clients, but that's because their achievement, they know they want to come and learn a new skill. And so it just keeps them accountable. And I'm not saying, well, you only can use a coach for maybe 6 months, and as soon as you've, got your goals done, you're off. No, it's about actually just knowing how the bigger picture works as well, and how it fits in. So times of life, people go, oh, actually, I need a different form of training, and we can then adapt. So it's not just, yes, it's that one-to-one face-to-face contact in that session, but I'm also going, right, we need to look at this, and outside of this session you're going to be doing that, and you're going to be mindful of what you're eating. So all of these other little bits as well, all part of that bigger jigsaw.
And would you say as a client it's safe to come to you, as in, like, obviously I'll be telling you private stuff,
Yeah.
and I'll be terrified of being judged.
Yeah.
What is it like? How do coaches kind of treat that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it is a safe space. Come and tell me. I will be asking questions. I do understand, that things are private and people don't want to share lots and lots, but at the same time, it's really useful to have the bigger picture as a coach. And yes, it goes without saying really that it's privacy. I'm bound, it's confidential. So people will tell me things. That stops with me. It's not a share for all. It doesn't get broadcast, or it doesn't even get fed back into, supervisor meetings. No, that's just time for me and that person. And I suppose as an individual, I'm quite open as well, and I like to share my experience to then put people at ease. So I will open up as well, and I expect that two-way thing. I'm going to share with you how I feel. That's not to say that you have to feel the same as me, but I'm just giving you a bit of a window that, yeah, well, I was 4 stone overweight 10 years ago, and I struggled with motivation. I've struggled with this. If that can help you, reassure you, then that's that's why I share those experiences. And I do encourage people to open up, because it then just means that coaching session is going to be a little bit more bespoke and valuable to that individual. Sometimes I think there's something missing here. I'm not knowing the full picture, and as soon as that individual then shares with me that piece of information, you go, okay, I understand. And hopefully, just my nature as a coach, it does put people at ease, and I want people to feel that they can talk to me. But actually the hard and fast rules of my coaching is things are shared with me and they go no further.
That's really nice to hear, because it really builds security as a client to kind of go, okay, cool, this is a safe space. And I think that's really, really important. But going back to more some tips and tricks from yourself, you mentioned this before. It was eating to perform. I know we've spoken about this a few times now, but I'd love to know more about what do you mean by eating to perform?
Okay. So understanding what it is that you want to perform. So for me, I like, my emphasis is strength training. I like, working my muscles, building that. That's an emphasis in my week. I do pepper it with some cardio, but my main thing is keeping strong, because I know that as I go through menopause, as well as older, muscles start to, that there's muscle wastage, and I want to know that I am working my muscles as hard as possible to keep myself as strong as possible into later life. So I know, how do I support my muscles? How do I support my workouts? Right, I've got to prioritize my proteins. I've got to have my good complex carbohydrates in there to give me energy. And that's what I mean by eating to perform. I like to get up on at 6 a.m. and go and join my pals down at the gym, and we will do what's called like shred classes or high rocks classes. And I want to know I'm feeling really good. I know if I've the night before eaten large pizza and had a couple of beers, I'm not going to feel great the next day. And we're working out together, we're training. Likewise, if I'm doing a weight session, we program things in, and I know that there are times when we go, right, let's do our testing week, and let's test our 1 rep max or 2 rep max, whatever that might be. If I've not prepared myself then with what I'm eating, I'm not going to get those numbers. And so there's some personal things for me, but ultimately, if I just stand back and go, well, they're the things that make me tick in the gym, but ultimately I want to be there for my children. I want to be there for my grandchildren. I want to be lifting a bar with my grandchildren. And I want to be running around after them and the two boys. Actually, put the gym aside, but how do I get that? How do I continue to be, playing with grandchildren on the floor in later life? That then starts now, and that's my eating to perform. That's my, goals in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years time. But it all starts now as well. So that's what I do. Eat to perform. So it depends on where I'm performing, but that's my motto, and that's what it means behind that.
There's so much we can talk about with nutrition and fitness, isn't there? It just every time we say something else, I think of another question, but I know we're coming up to our time. But I've got 2 more questions to ask, if that's okay. Perfect, thank you. One of them is, how can we better listen to ourselves? Like, when you get to the gym and you're kind of like, okay, I really haven't got the energy to do anything, but I know I have to do something. Like, how can we better listen to ourselves?
Yeah, that's something I really have considered quite a lot, actually, over the last few years, and especially for females as well. I'll come back to that in a second, but you have to kind of ask yourself the question. You've woken up and you go, oh, I can't be bothered. Oh no. Sometimes, and you have to ask that question, like, is it just because it's early morning and I'm a bit sluggish? And then you have to give yourself a good talking to and come on out. Or actually ask the question, because it's a legitimate question, how are you feeling? And then if you think, well, actually, yesterday was a really stressful day, I've started to get a bit of a sore throat, and oh goodness, I know today's going to be really, really stressful. And then it might be that actually that high intensity workout that you're going to go and do, or that 1 rep max workout that you're going to do, might just not be appropriate. So that's taught me that right now I go, okay, my body recognizes stress, and going to the gym, going and doing a hard session is stress. Going and being really stressed out in work or family situations, whatever that stress might be, it's the same. And so then I have to control what I can control, and going and kind of using up all my energy within that session, doing that heavy weight session, might not be the best idea. So then I go, okay, actually, I'm up. I do still need to keep up, because as soon as I start to give myself permission to, I'm not moving today, there is that kind of slippery slope. So I'm up, I've woken up, I'm going to go for a walk instead, or I'm going to download that yoga or the Pilates, or go and do some meditation and get my mind right for things. So we don't always have to go and do that heavy weight session. It's about understanding what life's got on for you at the moment and then changing things accordingly. You're not going to get really fat by just missing one session. So just standing back and going, okay, that's where the consistency is really important. If you just tweak that little bit, it's not going to have massive consequences. But then when we look at the micro level, if we go and expend all of that energy in one gym session in a very stressful time, that might, kind of set you off balance. It's terrible if somebody's like brewing a cold or something, and then they go and really exert themselves. High intensity will lower your immunity, and then you go and get poorly, and then you can't get back into the gym anyway. So rein it back, adapt. But that kind of comes with the caveat as ask the question, but be mindful and truthful with your reply, because sometimes I give people the permission to, well, just, have a chill out session today, when actually, no, let's be honest, no, you just were feeling a little bit lethargic, you might need a glass of water and a quick pick me up, and then off you go. So I say in the gym environment, turn up. You've got there. If, in the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you start to go, no, then change it. Say to the coach, actually, I'm going to change it up. And at our gym, we're very much about, you've turned up, you're here, you're present. If it feels like that's not right for you today, then you go and do something else, but you're here. And that's what I do now. I look at my own, as being a woman, I look at my cycle and realize that not every day, not every week is going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same. So I'm listening, I'm tracking. I like using data. I like tracking what I'm doing because it helps me then plan accordingly. And I go, why are my energy levels really tanking today? Okay, I'm due on. I see. Okay, so actually that type of workout's not right. I might need some more complex carbohydrates around certain times of my month. I don't need to go and do that workout, so I will change things accordingly. So now I like gathering data. I like looking at that bigger picture and understanding, then changing things and not being afraid of changing. That workout I did last week, great, but this week it's not right, so I change it.
I think that's really important, is kind of saying that you should still turn up, but if you have to change your normal workout, then that's completely fine. And you shouldn't be too hard on yourself if you have to do that, right? And I think the last question I wanted to ask you is something that I always battle with is it too late? Like, is it ever too late to start training? Because I always think about it and I'm like, I'm 30 now. Is this the best I'll be? I know that's a really bad mindset, but what?
I think it's good to ask yourself the question as well. So that's exactly how I felt at 30. Well, what was I supposed to do? I've got, my 2 children now. This is it. So at 30, it absolutely was not too late. And at 40 now, I'm like, no way. I love it when I'm like, yes, right. I'm actually fitter now than I was 10 years ago. And even like I look at my parents and I'm like, come on, they've actually really got into, right, the importance of steps, walking, moving, looking at their nutrition as well. And they're, 70, kind of, nearing 70-ish, at the other side of 70. So they're mindful of that. And okay, I can't get them in. Well, not that I can't, I just haven't. But it's not even too late to get into a gym environment. Pick a barbell up. That's the brilliant thing about exercise and training. Everything is scalable. Everything you can start somewhere. An Olympic barbell, you might not be able to pick that up. So that's okay. We've got some like broom handles that will start people off doing some mobility. It's all working up to, yes, that weight on the bar. So everything, gymnastics, body weight before we put, weight on, everything's scalable. Running, we start with walking first and we'll work up. And our bodies they don't like it. Our body won't respond well to all out exertion. It's like, just let me warm up a little bit. That's the whole technique of exercise. We do our stretches, we do our warm up, and then we go into the kind of the main bit. And that's how progress happens. Let's, little by little work up to where we want to go to. Don't go all out at the beginning.
Really appreciate that, Jen. I've definitely taken away a lot of key points from this chat, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. Genuinely, it's been such a great conversation. I'm sure it'll be so insightful to many, including myself. So thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate your time today. Amazing. Thank you.